Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're cracking open the pages of a staggering ancient text to explore a story of purification, sacred geography, and a display of generosity so massive it honestly defies all logic. We're stepping right into a world of mythic storytelling, drawing from a classic epic where heroes are seeking redemption and ancient kings are performing absolute miracles. If you've ever wondered how legendary figures measured their wealth, their merit, or their devotion, well, you are in for a real treat.
I mean, it sounds almost comical, doesn't it? What does it actually take to throw a feast so massive that even the gods are too full to eat? We are talking about stretching the absolute limits of generosity until the universe itself literally has to say, "No thank you, I couldn't possibly have another bite." So let's dive into this and see exactly how one ancient king managed to pull off the ultimate cosmic banquet.
Section 1. The Path of Purification, a Quest for a Clean Slate.
To really understand this feast, we first have to understand the journey. Our explainer kicks off with the heroic sons of Pandu. Driven by a very relatable human desire to cleanse themselves of past sins, they're moving deliberately from one sacred place to another. Step 1 brings them to the Gomati River. From there, they travel to Step 2, which is the highly revered region of Prayaga. That's the exact confluence of the Ganga and Yamuna rivers. Finally, Step 3 brings them to a sacred site known as Vedi, a place adored by ascetics and sacred to the Creator. You see, this wasn't just a random walk in the woods, this was a highly structured spiritual progression across the landscape.
The core concept driving this entire road trip is the tirtha. Now, a tirtha isn't just a regular body of water. It's a sacred water crossing, a stream or a ford. But more deeply, it represents a holy site for pilgrimage, ablutions, and purification. It's really a spiritual threshold. When the sons of Pandu wade into these rivers, they're actively washing away their mortal transgressions. And what they do at these tirthas is incredibly specific. Take the Gomati stream, for example. When they got there, they didn't just take a quick bath. They gave away wealth, and they gave away kine, which are cows, by the way. They stood right there in the waters and repeatedly offered oblations of water to the gods, to the Pitris, meaning their ancestors, and to the Brahmanas. It's this very active, deliberate display of letting go of worldly wealth and honoring the divine hierarchy just to achieve that purity they're so desperately seeking. Which actually brings us to a really fascinating duality in their spiritual practice. On one hand, at the confluence of Ganga and Yamuna in Prayaga, their focus was purely on cleansing themselves of every single sin through their ablutions, just wiping the slate clean. But as they moved to the tirtha called Vedi, things shifted. They stayed there for a while, gratifying the Brahmanas with wilderness fruits, roots, and clarified butter. By doing this, they began practicing ascetic penances of great merit. So they're basically combining the physical washing away of sin with the active, disciplined generation of brand new spiritual merit.
Section 2. Arrival at the Sacred Lake, the domain of Brahmasara.
As our heroes keep pushing forward, they eventually hit a region called Mahidhara. This is a place consecrated by a highly virtuous royal sage named Gaya. Just picture the breathtaking environment they've walked into. They're surrounded by the celestial, holy peaks of Gayasira Hill. Flowing right nearby is the delightful Mahanadi River, its banks graced by lush bushes of canes. Dead center is Brahmasara Lake, a spot deeply adored by ascetics. And standing vigil over the whole thing is the mighty, eternal banyan tree, a sacred fixture where any sacrifice performed produces merit that is quite literally eternal. You can almost feel how heavy the spiritual atmosphere of this place must have been.
Now, the mythic importance of Brahmasara really can't be overstated. According to the text, it is from this very lake that all the rivers take their rise. The eternal god of justice dwelt here of yore. The illustrious Rishi Augusta journeyed all the way here just to behold that deity. And Mahadeva himself, the wielder of the Penances, is ever present in this tirtha. For the Pandavas, arriving at Brahmasara means they are standing at the absolute epicenter of divine energy.
It's at this ultimate sacred platform that the heroes, alongside hundreds of ascetic Brahmanas, undertake a massive commitment, the Chaturmasya. This is a vow and sacrifice performed according to the rigorous rites of the great sacrifice called Rishi Yajna. They begin to fast with highly concentrated souls. It's this moment of intense, unified devotion that sets the stage for the wisdom that's about to be shared among them.
Section 3. The Tale of King Gaya, the nested narrative.
While they're all resting at this tirtha, a learned, celibate Brahmin named Shamatha steps forward. He wants to share a story about the very man who consecrated the ground they're sitting on. He introduces King Gaya, the son of Amartaraya, calling him one of the foremost of royal sages, and asks the heroes to listen to his meritorious deeds. Now, Gaya wasn't just a good king. He was a king defined by unimaginable generosity. Right here, by the side of Brahmasara, Gaya performed many sacrifices, distinguished by profuse gifts and enormous, almost unbelievable quantities of food distributed to Brahmanas and to all comers.
And the atmosphere during these sacrifices? Absolutely electric. During the conclusion of every sacrifice, when gifts were being dedicated to the Brahmanas, the chanting of the Vedas was so powerful it literally reached the heavens. The sound of the Vedic mantras was so loud that absolutely nothing else could be heard. These sacred sounds filled the earth, the points of the horizon, the sky, and heaven itself. Just imagine a literal wall of sacred sound radiating outward, echoing the immense scale of what was happening.
Section 4. A feast of mythic scale, visualizing the absurd.
Okay, so now we get to the heart of Shamatha's story, and you might need to brace yourselves for this. Because this wasn't just a banquet. Actually, scratch that. It was a complete re-landscaping of the earth using food. We're talking about cooked rice piled high into hundreds and thousands of actual mountains. Clarified butter forming hundreds of lakes, curds flowing in hundreds of rivers, and richly dressed curries making up thousands of streams. And the craziest part? Day after day, these were gotten ready and distributed to all comers, completely clean and pure. It is just an absolutely surreal, mind-bending visualization of abundance.
The people who attended were so utterly gratified by these excellent viands and drinks that they went about joyously singing verses. The standout line from their song goes like this: "In Gaya's great sacrifice, who is there today, amongst creatures, that still desireth to eat?" It's a rhetorical question, of course, because the answer is nobody. Every single creature was filled to the absolute brim.
But wait, here is the ultimate punchline of this entire epic tale. 25. The song continues to marvel that, after absolutely everyone in existence had been fed to their heart's content, there were still 25 entire mountains of food just sitting there left over. King Gaya overcatered his party by 25 literal mountain ranges. No way, right?
The ultimate, kind of hilarious consequence of this epic generosity is that what Gaya achieved was never done before and will never be achieved in the future. Why? Because the gods themselves have been so surfeited, meaning completely stuffed, by Gaia's clarified butter that they physically are not able to take anything that anybody else might offer. His merit was so immense, his sacrifice so grand, that King Gaya effectively ruined ritual offerings for everyone else. The divine inbox is entirely full.
To wrap up his tale, Shamatha gives us a final poetic comparison to truly cement this in our minds. He states that you simply cannot count the gifts given in Gaya's sacrifice. Attempting to count them would be like trying to count the grains of sand on the earth, the stars in the firmament, or the drops of water showered by rain-charged clouds. It's infinite, boundless. It is the very definition of eternal merit.
Which brings us right back to you, and the final thought I want to leave you with in this explainer. The heroes went seeking purification, and they found a story of a man whose giving literally echoed through the cosmos. It really makes you think about the nature of legacy, of generosity, and what it really means to pursue a clean slate. Could you ever give enough to make the gods too full to eat? Probably not, but it certainly makes you want to look at the mountains and rivers a little bit differently, doesn't it? Thank you so much for joining me as we unpack this incredible source material. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.